Hello and welcome to the 15-minute show, part of the Arsenal Therapy podcast. Today I am broadcasting from Milan, and the key topic of this video is going to be Martin Zubimendi. He's a player that we've been linked to for a long time, and he's an incredibly talented, deep-lying midfielder who has the potential to really play as a left eight, and someone that's got just huge technical ability. So we're going to run through a bit of information on him. But as always, please make sure to hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel and please keep helping us grow as we have been doing. Firstly, though, there is some big news coming out of the Premier League today in that Jurgen Klopp will leave Liverpool at the end of the season. Now, that's massive news for us and many other Premier League teams because it's my belief that Jurgen Klopp is the best pound-for-pound manager in the league. He extracts every bit of value out of his players. He's someone that has got Liverpool playing in a very, very defined, specific way, no matter who has been on the pitch. And ultimately, that's something I'm very happy about because I don't know who Liverpool would replace him with. I imagine they'll be looking at the likes of De Zerbi and coaches like that. But it's a big, big thing because Klopp has a huge stature at Liverpool Football Club, and it's ultimately going to completely change a lot about the club and kind of how they're set up, how they're run. Everything is built around Jurgen Klopp at this time. But right now, we're here to talk about Arsenal. So without further ado, I'm going to just launch into some info about Martin Zubimendi. We can have a chat about him, and we can look at where he would potentially fit in at Arsenal. So first up, we've got the news that he's also a target for Bayern Munich. As we know, Bayern went after quite a few players that we were interested in the summer. They went after Kai Havertz, they went after Jurrien Timber, they went after Declan Rice, and of course they went after David Raya. As we all know, all four of those players turned them down and ultimately signed for Arsenal. And I don't see Zubimendi turning down Arsenal to go to Bayern at this time. And it's funny saying that because 3 or 4 years ago, if Bayern Munich went in for a player, it would have been a no-brainer that they would have gone to Bayern over Arsenal. But there's a couple of things. Firstly, there's our rise and what Mikel Arteta and Edu have built at Arsenal and how we've propelled ourselves as a football club in recent times. And there's also the strength of the Premier League in comparison to the Bundesliga. As great as Bayern's success has been, it has completely killed that league. And a lot of players don't have the same desire and ambition. It's now a stepping stone league. And it is a shame for the Bundesliga because a lot has changed as a result of Bayern's dominance. But look, I don't see it being an issue. The 60 million euro release clause that Zubimendi has works out at roughly 52 million pounds. It is important to note that a release clause in Spain has to be paid in one installment. Again, I don't see that being a big issue for Arsenal. There will be players that we sell this summer. And it's important to remember as well that Arsenal do have a good relationship with Sociedad, with Kieran Tierney being there on loan. Part of the Basque country as well, where Mikel Arteta is from. So, look, this is a deal that it just makes a lot of sense. We know Arsenal have been after him for a long time. It's kind of 18 months and counting. But Zubimendi's always maintained a strong kind of loyalty towards his hometown club and has wanted to see them progress. But with these, we're seeing a lot of publications in Spain really talking about Zubimendi coming to Arsenal, saying that he's very, very close to joining Arsenal on a pre-agreement. Now, I don't believe there's too much truth in this. This is what we keep being told. Arsenal are one of many clubs that are interested. I think I've no doubt that Arteta will have spoken to Zubimendi via third parties or whatever. And we know that's how transfers work. Managers speak to players through agents, directors of football do. That's the reality of modern football. But we are seeing a lot of different angles, people saying that there is real interest. Fabrizio Romano is someone that's confirmed it, David Ornstein, James McNicholas. All these people have talked about Arsenal really being keen on Zubimendi. And what Romano has said is it would be a very complicated deal to do in January. This is despite reports a couple of weeks ago from Spain that it could happen. There were reports last week that he had already said his goodbyes to his Sociedad teammates with the intention of leaving in the summer. Now, call me mad, but you don't say your goodbyes 6 months before you're going to leave. I think there was nothing in that story, and for me, it just summed up how quiet the transfer window has been, and people really want to kind of milk every story and try to create something that's possibly not there. But we know the interest is there in Zubimendi, and as Romano has confirmed, it would be difficult to do that in January. We know how close we are to FFP kind of restrictions, so that will be reset in June. We'll also sell some players. So I don't expect anything to happen now, but this is a summer transfer, and this is how we're going to be looking at him. So it's how will he fit in next season as opposed to what he can do now. So one of the key things about Zubimendi is he is playing as a deep lying midfielder. He's playing much more in the Declan Rice role. However, there are a lot more players around him. So he's very much that holding midfielder. He's playing deep with a lot of touches on the ball. But he's a player that has won possession in the midfield third more times than any other player in La Liga since the beginning of last season. So he's won possession 197 times. So that means he's good at duels. And as we know, Mikel Arteta loves duel winners almost more than anything else. The thing is, we laugh about it, we joke about it, but the reality is to win games of football, you have to win duels. And if you can have players that win duels and are also extremely good on the ball, you've got a real winning combination there. And Martin Zubimendi is a player that is both a good duel winner, a good tackler, a good possession winner, and also a ball player. And we've seen a lot of players like that over the years. And we've got an absolute diamond in Declan Rice. We've got it in Thomas Partey. These players win a lot of duels. They win possession. Martin Odegaard's a snatcher. He wins the ball high up the park and really gets us going. He's one of the most committed players at winning tackles. He's one of the hardest workers in our team. And a player like Zubimendi would be coming into play alongside a Declan Rice and a Martin Odegaard. Xabi Alonso is someone that's spoken about Zubimendi in the past, and he said he's got the ability to generate play, to make those around him better, and he always offers solutions to improve the move. And he understands the next step before the ball gets to him with the ability to organize the axis. The truth is, that's the kind of qualities that Xabi Alonso had, that Xavi Hernandez had. These are qualities that you almost can't teach because they are reliant on a player's brain. You can coach and you can organize, but a lot of these, the ability to scan, the ability to think 2 steps ahead, that's something that's almost ingrained in a player from a very young age. And this is something that we are seeing from Zubimendi. He's a player that likes to be on the ball. He likes to take up positions to draw players to him, open up space. And he is someone that understands the game in various different areas of the pitches, which is why a lot of people see him as being Arsenal's answer to someone like Ilkay Gundogan. So it's very clear Arsenal did try to sign Gundogan in the summer. We did make an offer there. And obviously that didn't come to fruition, but it shows that Arteta would like that kind of player in the left 8 role. And taking someone like Zubimendi and moving them further forward is almost a similar journey to what Gundogan went at. When he broke into the Dortmund team, he was playing further back, and it was Pep that really molded him into that much more attacking player. And ultimately, probably one of the best left 8s we've ever seen play the game. So with Zubimendi, we're just looking at some of his numbers. So he's played 20 games in La Liga this season. He's an ever-present for Sociedad, 4 goals and 1 assist. So he does have the ability to score, but we're not seeing right now a high-volume scorer. But he is playing in a very deep position. You put him into that left 8 position, he's going to be playing further up the pitch. And with 4 goals already to his name, it shows that he has got good finishing abilities there. However, his assist numbers very, very low. And 1 assist, a lot of that will be down to where he's playing, the deeper role. So he is orchestrating play from further behind. But he's a player with really strong technical ability. And if you look at his passing in the final third, a lot of the through balls that he plays and a lot of what he does to open up play comes with his weaker foot. But he's got the ability to play those chip passes into the box to really unpick the lock, bring wingers into the game, and feed his forwards. And that's a quality that I think Arsenal lack right now in Kai Havertz. Kai, for all his qualities, and anyone that watches this show know that I'm a huge fan of Kai, he doesn't have great passing ability and he's not a lock picker. Whereas someone like Zubimendi is someone that is used to those high volume actions and someone that really, really gets involved in play a lot more and is a much better passer. But with Zubimendi, we're seeing he's obviously scored 4 goals, but he doesn't take a lot of shots. He's only had 11 shots this season, 8 of which have been on target. He's hit the woodwork twice, and he's got a conversion rate of 36.36%, which is a really high conversion rate. A shot accuracy of 72.73%. Now, that's much higher than most forwards, but obviously being a player that doesn't hit a lot of shots, he's someone that's more likely to bide his time, wait for his moment, and really go for it when the opportunity arises, which is why we're seeing a higher conversion rate than, say, a striker like Jesus that will be hitting a lot more shots, snapping at a lot more chances, and ultimately missing a lot more chances. But these numbers are very encouraging because it shows that there's a player that is willing to shoot and can finish whenever the opportunity comes up. And having goals in midfield is something that's extremely important. And it was something that we got from Granit Xhaka last year. And Kai Havertz is on kind of a similar number to what Xhaka was at the midway point last season. However, we in truth expected more from Kai on the goal scoring front, because that was why he was added, because you are taking away Xhaka's passing ability in favor of Kai's kind of multifaceted attacking qualities. But if you look at where Zubimendi's shooting from, so his 14 shots, all 4 goals have come from inside the box. However, he is shooting from outside the box as well. Around the penalty spot, the goal he scored and one of the shots he's missed have come from very much in around the Odegaard rate. And these shots are taking place in an area where we don't have a lot of shooters aside from Odegaard. So, look, this is someone who, if he gets more shots and is playing in these kind of areas, the volume will increase. And you would think if he scored 4 goals from 14 shots, he could be potentially hitting 40, 50 shots over the course of the season. And look, you have to think about it in scale. He's not going to score by quadrupling the number of shots. He's not going to come out with 16 goals. He will probably have more kind of rash attempts and so on. So this is a player that could potentially score 8 to 10 goals a season in the right environment, playing in the right position, because he's got a very, very high conversion rate and an XG off the shots he hits. But again, the number of assists is something that isn't overly positive. He's got 1 this season off expected assists of 2.63. Again, that's down to strikers not finishing the chances he's created. But again, 2.63 expected assists isn't very high. But again, that comes down to the position he's playing. And he does play a fair few key passes, 9 this season. Again, that's high for a player in that role. We have seen Odegaard play 5 or 6 in one game. So it's kind of looking at Zubimendi and looking at the qualities he's had, but also looking at the potential that he has, because this is a player with a great touch and the ability to see and open up the game. So we are judging a player on kind of what he's doing in a deep lying position and thinking, what can he do in a more forward position? So again, the high number of passes, the 927 passes this season, he's averaging around 49 passes per game and 42 successful passes. That's okay. That's not the numbers Declan Rice is hitting for Arsenal. Declan is hitting around 80 passes per game, successful numbers. We've seen other games where he's had over 100. And that's something he playing in a much higher percentage possession team will probably average more touches if he plays as a 6. But if he plays as an 8, these numbers are more similar to what Granit Xhaka was doing last season, with the kind of 30 to 40 successful passes per game and the number of touches that we're seeing. But he's a player that if he was playing as an 8, I would expect him to be more involved in the build-up than Kai Havertz, but you do also lose the kind of aerial side of the game that Kai brings. Interestingly, if you look at his defending, he's someone that's averaging around 1.7 tackles per game, 1.27 interceptions. Again, these are slightly lower than what Declan Rice and Thomas Partey does. He is a duel winner, and if you look at the number of duels per 90 that he wins. 7.96 is a very, very high number of duels won. And again, that's what Mikel's going to like. And if he can win those duels higher up the park, that gives Arsenal the ability to keep teams pressed in. You lose the ball, you counter press them, you get straight back on them. And having a player that can do that and then also has the composure and the touch to open up a game in the final third and really play and allow the likes of Martinelli to get in behind, that's going to be hugely advantageous to Arsenal. And as I've said, this is a player with a very, very strong weak foot. So with the likes of Martinelli, he would have a passer that can play with his left, can play with his right, can cut inside to open the pitch and go crossfield, similarly down the line with either his left or right. And that should really benefit the left winger because right now they don't have a passer in that style. But just looking at how they compare to other players, if you look at these numbers are there per 90, and I've added Granit Xhaka in there and had a look at how his numbers last season compared to what these two are doing. So if you look at a lot of these, Granit Xhaka's numbers are actually coming out extremely strong. Declan Rice, of all four players between Kai Havertz, Zubimendi, has the highest pass accuracy. He completes the most passes per game, and he's someone that actually plays the most forward passes per game. Interestingly, Zubimendi plays more forward passes than both Kai and Granit Xhaka did, and he is also all three, Kai, Granit, and Zubimendi, have similar goals per 90. Again, none of them are overly high goal scorers. But what's interesting is the only stat that Zubimendi is really standing out in is the number of through balls per 90. And it's actually the same as what Granit Xhaka was doing last season, which is 0.2 per game of attempted through balls. And that is something that we've missed this season, and Martinelli has missed down that side. So let's see, if we were to bring in a Zubimendi, this is where we would expect to see some improvement. And again, with him playing further up the pitch for Arsenal, you would expect to see more of those, because right now, playing as a 6, a lot of his passes are going to be the metronome style game that we're seeing from Declan Rice, because not every team wants to see their 6 play in the way Thomas Partey does, with that really adventurous space manipulation, the vertical, the real aggressive type in possession that can unlock anything from a very deep position. And Partey's completely unique in that. The only player that can really dominate space and drop a shoulder, turn his man and go is Sergio Busquets. So Thomas Partey is incredibly unique in that, but it does lead to risks that not every team wants to take in the 6th position. But one of the stats that is interesting for a player as technically gifted as Zubimendi is his long ball passing accuracy. So if you compare that to what Granit Xhaka was doing last season at Arsenal, where he's almost 72% completed, Zubimendi's passing accuracy with long balls is very poor, 52%. We're seeing that is below Declan Rice this season, which I'm actually quite surprised at Declan just having a 56% completion rate with long balls. But I guess a big part of that is down to the number he's playing in comparison to what he did at West Ham. And a lot of his game is now his short game, and then his drive and his carrying and so on. He's playing a very different role. But for a player as technically gifted as Zubimendi, you would expect him to be able to ping the ball across the pitch with much more ease than he's currently doing. So that they are the key things to run through today. They're all important numbers to look at. And ultimately, let's wait and see with this one, because whilst I don't see it happening in January, and I don't think anyone really does, this is a transfer that if Arsenal really want, given that he has a release clause, we could expect to see this deal wrapped up for the very, very beginning of the transfer window. We know pre-contracted agreements are a thing. We know that clubs start negotiations well in advance. We saw Chelsea do it with Nkunku. And there is no reason why Arsenal can't have this deal tied up and ready to go for the beginning of the window, so that Martin Zubimendi is joining his teammates at Arsenal on the first day of pre-season. So that would be a huge thing for the club. But look, thank you to everyone that's joined us today. We've had a bit of a nightmare getting this stream going. But look, thank you again and have a great day. And please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. and join us again for the full pod, which you can find on Apple and Spotify. And we'll be back again on Tuesday with a transfer window roundup, with hopefully some news on a versatile fullback. Have a great day.